I would say that most people set themselves a New Year's resolution every year. Now, regardless of if they actually achieve that, having a fresh start to a year really gives some motivation for people to set a goal and actually try and achieve it. So why not set yourself a financial goal that is achievable, will probably be fun to carry out, and will leave you better off in the long run. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese. In today's video, you are going to be setting yourself a financial goal to work towards in the new year. Planning is everything. I cannot stress that enough. Achieving a reasonable goal will be easier than you think, and it will be even easier to carry it out and continue working towards it if you put a plan in place. I'm going to discuss 9 very common but absolutely achievable goals that you could set and tailor to your own specific situation. So the first goal that I'm going to talk about will probably be the most obvious on the list, and that's why it has made the list, and that is just general saving. So saving a specific amount of money within a specific period of time. It doesn't matter if you set a goal of saving $100, $1,000 or $10,000 or even higher. The point is to set an achievable goal for you and then work out a period of time that you want to achieve that goal in. Let's say 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months. So let's just do a quick example. Let's say you want to save $1,000 in 3 months. You could work out, okay, that's about 12 weeks. 1,000 divided by 12 is going to be about $80 a week. So roughly you're going to need to save $80 a week. Can you do that? If the answer is yes, great. Put a plan in place to start achieving it and work towards it. Within 3 months, you'll have that money, and from here, you can now start to get in the mindset of increasing those amounts, changing the periods of time to eventually basically put yourself in a position to save even more money. And then with that money, you can go off and do things that you want to do with it. But the point is that you actually can meet this goal, you can actually achieve it. The second type of goal that you could set would be to build an emergency fund. Now, this is very similar to saving, but I would treat this goal as more of a consistency thing. Every time you get paid, I would put aside a very specific amount of money and I would stick to it. It doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it should be consistent. Every time you get paid for 3 months, 6 months, or 12 months, see if you can put away the same amount of money into a specific account for this intended purpose. Make it a norm to continuously deposit the same amount of money over a period of time, and what you will eventually see is that you build a great habit. This habit is going to do a lot of different things for you. It's going to prove to you that you can actually be consistent in even small saving amounts. It's going to build a buffer for a rainy day if you actually end up needing that money for an emergency. And it's going to give you some peace of mind knowing that that money is there for a rainy day. Now, for the third type of goal that you could set, it's going to be aimed at spending less money. Obviously, to achieve this goal, things in your lifestyle and routine are probably going to have to change. Now, it's not all a bad thing, but it might be a little bit difficult at first. The age-old don't buy coffees and don't buy lunch every single day at work gets thrown around in every financial video I've ever seen in my life, but it's generally a good point. It actually makes sense from a savings point of view, and what you'll find is that buying groceries from the supermarket and taking them with you to work will be cheaper than actually buying lunches at work, which obviously is obvious, but I'm saying it because it's important. There are 2 other factors to this spending less concept though. It's not just about not spending money on coffees or spending less on a night out. There are 2 other ways you can reduce your spending. We can go into the business side of where you spend all your money and talk about things like your expenses. So for example, your phone bill. You can definitely check competition out. You can definitely find competitive offers, and this will be a way for you to actually pull the plug and be a little bit courageous and get out of your comfort zone by getting quotes from other companies for anything that is a service provided by lots of different companies. I use the phone bill as an example, but your utilities is probably another good example. What you should be doing is making sure that you have the best offer from those companies and you're utilizing those offers by actually taking them up on it. And if it means changing service provider with your phone, so be it. And finally, it's kind of counterintuitive, but using shopback and cashback apps, which I have talked about in a video that I previously made, and I've left a link in the description below to provide a little bit more insight into what those resources are. But these apps actually provide you with a massive discount on general shopping. So I've actually saved about $1,000 just from buying things that I was planning to buy anyway. And how do I do this? These companies offer incentives of actual cashback, a percentage of the purchase back when you buy through that website. There's no catch. They get your data, but everyone's information is presented to all of the big companies who just absorb it all and use it for marketing and advertising. But the point here is that it's an actually pretty decent incentive that gives something back to the customer. And I've been using them for a long time. I know lots of people that have been using them for a long time, and they're actually really useful. So if you are interested in that resource, check it out. But they're the 3 pillars that kind of put together the spending less goal. This is how you set a goal that is achievable to reduce your spending and be conscious of your spending, and then track it over the course of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, and see how you perform. Now, number 4 would definitely be a good challenge. It will be difficult by all means, but it's one that I'm definitely going to add to the list, and that is to reduce or remove all of your credit card debt by the end of your challenge. Doing this would absolutely benefit you greatly in many different ways. For starters, it would take a weight off your shoulders, not having to pay a bank a mandatory interest repayment every time that they come around. It would put more money in your pocket because you don't owe a debt to someone anymore. And it would again teach you a good habit of burning down that debt. If you have credit card debt, I would absolutely be setting this as a goal to completely wipe it, depending on how much you owe. If you've got a lot of money in credit card debt, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, again, I'd still be setting that goal and withering it down as much as possible. Take steps, put a plan in place, approach it, and see how you do. There's no repercussions for you trying to do a good thing. You can achieve it. I believe in you. And that's some guy on the internet telling you that I believe in you, because I do. It would be a good goal to set. That's all I'm going to say about this one. I'll probably make a video about how to actually go about doing this in the future, but today we're talking about New Year's resolution goals. Number 5 would be to start a budget, and again, stick to it. Do it for a period of time where the results that you see actually pay off in a way of you having access to more money because you haven't spent as much or as much as you thought that you would be spending. This can be done by working out what your income is and then what your regular expenses are, and then actually allocating and splitting up your wage into different pools. Let's call them pools of money, where you allocate money to bills and groceries and all of the little things that you don't realize you spend as much money on than you probably do. The example coming straight from me in this instance would be how I break up my wage. I break up my pay every time I'm paid into separate bank accounts for intended purposes. So I will put money away for bills and I'll put money away for spending. And what I do with this form of budgeting is make sure that I don't exceed or spend out of those bounds. I still get to enjoy some spending money, and I still get to buy chocolate and chips at the grocery store if I have money in my budget for it, but I don't go outside of those bounds. This type of goal can definitely help you if you're someone who has a bit of a problem with your spending, or you have bad spending habits, because it can kind of bring some organization and order to how you manage your money. So budgeting, definitely a fantastic goal, something that you can definitely work to over time, and you can do it with a partner if you have one and make it a little bit of a fun activity. Now, goal suggestion number 6 is probably going to be the hardest one on the list, and that is to either A, get a higher paying job, or B, get a raise at work. This book is called I Will Teach You to Be Rich by Ramit Sethi. I saw him on Matt D'Avella's podcast a little while ago, and I bought his book because the way he spoke was incredible. I read through it cover to cover, and even though it's aimed at American finances, there is sections and moments throughout the book which are universal to anyone and everyone who can apply the logic that he puts into words in this book into actual action to make it a reality. In this book, there is an actual in-depth guide or a script which he has written down, which I won't spoil because it's not my content, but it goes into very specific details on how to negotiate a pay rise. Now, I could just be some dude blabbering about a script that was written in a book about, oh wow, pay rises. But no. I actually put those words into play. I tailored them to suit my situation. I actually went to my boss and asked for a raise, and I ended up getting a raise of about $17,000, which is absurd to someone who was 24, 25 at the time. I've since then moved on from that employer, but the point here is that I brought something to the table, I showed my value, and I actually achieved the goal that was put in place of achieving that raise. The book helped me do that. It was a resource that I used, And that's why I'm talking about it in this example, because it is an achievable goal. The book goes in depth into how to achieve this goal. I've left a link in the description below to just one location that you can go pick it up, which is Amazon. Now, I'm going to summarize that section in 3 quick sentences. It is plan out your conversation that you're going to have with your boss and know what you're worth. Make sure you're going to bring something to the table. From there, you're going to approach your supervisor about 6 months before your PDS or your performance review or your annual review, whatever types of reviews there are. And you're going to say to him, I would like to set some expectations, set some goals for me to achieve in the workplace. And then you're going to entertain the idea. You're going to say to them, and I would also like to discuss the opportunity for a raise if I exceed those expectations. Get them to agree in a friendly manner and say that when the time comes, we'll get there. And then the third thing you're going to do is exceed those expectations. You have to bring something to the table, something of value to prove that you have achieved that raise. But if you work hard and you know your shit, the outcome will be you having a conversation at PDS time saying, this is what I've done, this is what I've achieved. Can we please talk about that raise right now? Because here is the evidence. And you show them, you keep them up to date over that period of time, and eventually you will walk out of that room with a little bit more money in your pocket, hopefully. So like I said, that goal will probably be relatively difficult to achieve and time consuming, but nonetheless, it's one that you could set and it's one that you definitely could achieve. Goal number 7 would be to track your expenses and spending. Let's say anything over $50. The way I would go about doing this is to build a spreadsheet. Building a spreadsheet can give you a database of information that you can then review after a period of time to see how much money you're actually spending on things that you may not be wanting to spend as much money on. I actually do this. I have a spreadsheet which I track all my expenses through. Anything that I deem relevant or worth tracking. I don't track everything to the T, but enough for me to actually see information and understand where my money's going. What I've realized is I used to spend quite a lot of money on things like haircuts, as an example, every single year. So I found ways to reduce that spending because it was wasteful in its own way. Another good example would be I collect things. I collect Pokemon cards. I am a big dork for old nostalgia. My childhood was that, and I love it to this day. I found that I was spending quite a lot of money on these cards, and I needed to tailor that. So what I did was start tracking how much I was spending and then basically giving myself a limit, which I have followed for a period of time now. And I've found that I'm not wasting unnecessary amounts of money on things like that. I have made a video surrounding how to categorize your expenses and have linked it in the description below. I encourage you to attempt a goal like this if you're someone who lets your spending get out of hand quickly or easily, because you will quickly identify how much money you are wasting on things that you probably shouldn't be wasting that money on. Suggestion number 8 on this list is going to be finding a side hustle. YouTube, drop shipping, passive income. You hear about this in every financial video as well. I'm not here to tell you to find a side hustle that makes you money. I'm here to tell you to allocate 15 minutes a day, or however much time you want, but 15 minutes a day. Surely you can find 15 minutes in a day to allocate to something specific. An example, I love playing chess. Chess is a really fun game to play. I really enjoy the strategy and the challenge of trying to outsmart your opponent. 15 minutes a day to play a couple of games isn't going to hurt anyone. It brings me joy, and who knows? It's a passion of mine that could turn into a side hustle. Another example is YouTube. I do this for fun. It's not a side hustle. I don't make money from it, and I'm not intending to make money from it. I'm intending to create a resource which is useful to people who were like me when I was younger, who didn't have an understanding or even a grasp of where to begin with finances. I love doing this, and I am very well aware that it definitely could turn into something like a side hustle or even a job in the future. But at the moment, it's my little fun passion, which I'm allocating time to make something of it. And it's great. The side hustle comes later, but when I say find a side hustle, I mean allocate time to something that you enjoy doing that could eventually become a side hustle. The 9th suggestion on the list would be to invest. Now, there are many different ways to categorize investing. You could go about it by finding a bit of extra money and investing it in the share market. Or you could go about it by finding a lot of extra money and buying an investment property. Or you could do my favorite type of investing. My absolute number one would be to invest in yourself, invest in you. I can't stress this one enough because there are so many benefits that could come from it. You could start off by just trying to read a book once a month or once every 6 months, or you could exercise for 10 minutes a day. There is an endless limit to what you can set as that goal, but at the end of the day, if you set a goal that will make you a better you, I would call that an investment in yourself. I would recommend to start by setting a short-term goal that can be completed within 3 months of you setting that goal. And once you achieve it, I would then set another one and continue building on from there. This should build your ability to stay focused on short-term goals and build discipline and your organization skills up in order to tackle bigger goals down the line. And if you're someone like me with a small attention span, I would set a short and achievable goal that will keep you interested in that period of time. So as a recap, the types of goals that you could set as a challenge for this New Year's resolution include to save a specific amount of money, build an emergency fund, spend less money, pay off your credit card debt, start a budget, get a higher paying job or a raise at work, track your expenses, find a side hustle, and to start investing. If you want to, leave a comment below of the financial goal that you set yourself and come back in 3 months with an update. It will probably be best if I hold you accountable, and it will probably be good motivation for other people who stumble across the video. With that being said, I hope that you learned something in today's video. I hope that you set yourself a goal, you set yourself up to work towards it, you actually work towards it, and then you eventually achieve it. If you enjoyed today's video, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, I will see you in 3 months with an update and the next video. Bye for now.